There's so much about the Nintendo Switch 2 that we don't know, and there's so many rumors that people have been making up that I need to test. So in this video, I'm gonna do just that. And as we keep going, they get weirder and weirder. Let's get started. Does the touchscreen work while wearing gloves? What a good question. Now, there are some touchscreens that work a little oddly. Some touchscreens allow you to use the stylus, like the 3DS. And some touchscreens don't let you use a stylus, like the iPhone. Trust me, it doesn't work. But the real question is, can I use my gloves on the Nintendo Switch 2? First of all, we gotta test, does a stylus work? I have an old DS stylus right here. That surprised me. I thought it would, especially because the Wii U works, and I'm pretty sure there's like a touch pen for the Switch. This surprised me. So obviously this uses our fingerprints to touch. So will this work? Oh! Okay, now I'm just confused. Okay, wait, with my thumb it doesn't. What the heck is happening? I'm so confused. Oh, there you go. It kind of works sometimes. You just gotta be slow. Yeah, it's like a hit or miss. Okay, so, no, it doesn't work, I guess. False. This does not work very well. Can two Nintendo Switches charge each other? I have no idea if this is gonna work. So here we go. We got my second Nintendo Switch 2. I'm just kidding. This is not my Nintendo Switch. This is my brother's. Everyone spam, thank you, Russ's brother, in the comments below. Let's show him some appreciation. I think the first thing we should test is if anything can charge through the Nintendo Switch 2 in the first place. So here we go. This is pretty simple. I have a USB, I plug it into the top of my Switch, and we know that it can power things like the camera, but will it actually power my phone? Here we go. Oh my gosh, it's charging! What? It's actually charging. I did not expect this at all. What the heck? That actually blew me away. I did not think that it could charge other devices aside from like certified Nintendo products or something. What? Okay, so yeah, I guess the real question is, can a Switch 2 charge with a Switch 2? Let's find out. We have an official Nintendo USB-C to USB-C. So we plug it into the top. Will they charge each other? Oh my gosh, it actually charges the other Switch. What? How? Wait, it just went down on percentage. It just went down. What the heck? The Switch thinks it's charging, but I don't think it actually is. And how come it knows not to charge this one? So while they're not technically charging each other, one of them still technically is being charged. I'm blown away. I did not expect this. This could totally be destroying both batteries. Who knows? This might not even be good for the Switch, but it's possible. So true. A Switch 2 can charge a Switch 2. The next rumor has to do with both of these consoles, the Switch 1 OLED and the Nintendo Switch 2. Like the Nintendo Switch 2 is brighter, but is it? Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 does have HDR support, which overall just makes things brighter, which is crazy. And I actually thought that the Nintendo Switch 2 was brighter, but after using this for over 2 weeks now, I'm not so sure. So let's answer the question, is it actually brighter than the OLED or not? I've turned off auto brightness, and I've turned the brightness on the Switch 2 all the way up. Now, on the Switch OLED, here we go, let's bring it up. Wait a second, have us fans been bamboozled? It actually is looking like the Switch OLED is quite a bit brighter. What's very interesting is that they're different tints of colors. This one looks more green to me for some reason. Yeah, you know what? It looks like the OLED is actually brighter. I totally thought that this was brighter before. I feel like I've been scammed. Although this is still a good display. I do really like this display. Not as good as the OLED one though, I'll be honest. So false. The Switch 2 isn't brighter than the OLED. Can a Switch 2 detect an Amiibo through the box? Now, I just so happen to have these Amiibo in the packaging still. I think I've had them over a year. In fact, I literally just bought a bunch of Amiibo. Look over there. Pranked you. Can the Switch 2 detect Amiibo from the box? We have to find out. First of all, we gotta see if a Switch 1 can do it. Here we got the Switch 1. We'll go to settings. We'll scroll down to Amiibo. And then we gotta register the Amiibo. Here we go. Will it work? All right, well, that's not working. But just for fun, let's test out and make sure an actual Amiibo does work. Ah, so it does. That's good news. But how's about the Switch 2? Now you might be thinking, they're the same Amiibo. Why would the Switch 2 be able to do it and not the Switch 1? Well, the rumor is that the NFC is actually stronger on the Switch 2. So going to the Amiibo settings on the Switch 2, we can do enter owner and nickname. Oh, wait a second, you know what I just realized? Why on the Switch 1 does it say register owner and nickname, but on the Switch 2 it says enter? All right, let's do it. Look, it's actually different. That has a Joy-Con 1 and this has a Joy-Con 2. Can I scan it through the box? What the heck? I'm getting blown away so many times today. To be honest, I completely made up that rumor. I did not think that the NFC was stronger, but okay, I just had a voice crack. That's crazy. Okay, I gotta test this again. What? I don't understand. You guys might think I'm being dramatic, and I am, but I'm actually shocked that that happened. Do you understand? true. You can scan an Amiibo through the box on the Switch 2. But real quick, this video is sponsored by Syntech. These accessories are some of the best in the game, and I've been using them for a while now, and I can guarantee that they are absolutely epic. Like, they got this carrying case. This thing is rock solid. Look at this. I've stress tested it, and I even just tried straight up bending it. It holds up very well. The outside is hard and water resistant, the inside is furry and soft, and it fits the Nintendo Switch 2 perfectly. It even has a handle that's way more practical than most cases I've tried. There's a ton of space too. I keep my Joy-Con straps in here because they're actually useful, unlike the Switch 1 straps. I keep my chunky game case in here that stores a ton of games, and there's even a built-in flap that holds up to 10 game cards without any other accessory. It's durable, protective, and it's very convenient. I mean, this could be the only accessory you even need. They also sent over the Joy-Con charging stand. I've only got one pair of Joy-Con right now, but it's ready for when I inevitably buy multiple sets in the years to come. And then there's these racing wheels, which are much more affordable than Nintendo's, and they still feel great. It's just quality all around. You gotta love it. If you want the classic color, you can grab it from their Amazon store for faster delivery. The color that I'm using is only available on the official website, so go check it out. Both links are in the description, and thanks again to Syntech for sponsoring this video. All right, back to it. Does the Switch 2 boot faster than the Switch 1? Let's find out. We got our Switch 2, we got our Switch 1. They're both wide awake and open. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna completely shut them down. Power options and power off. Same thing with the Switch 1. Power options, turn off. Did that say turn off instead of power off? So now they're both off. I'm gonna hold both the power buttons at the same time and we will see which one boots faster. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Nintendo Switch 1 turned on faster. Oh, what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Switch 2 technically did boot up faster, but that was microscopic. So I'm still gonna give it to the Switch 2 because it was a little bit faster. True, the Switch 2 does boot faster. Does the Switch 1 work with a Nintendo Switch 2 dock? Now, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to work. It's got USB-C on the bottom. So again, I don't really know why this wouldn't work aside from maybe this is gonna be a little bit too wide. All right, let's take the Switch 2 off the dock. Now, oh wait, maybe we can. Is it? I don't know, there's not quite enough space because of these thumbsticks. It's just not going in. So actually, here's why it won't connect. These little circles on the bottom are just differently spaced, which means it's not actually letting the Switch go in anymore. So that's why. Although it's the same width. It's literally the exact same width as the Switch 1. So if we can get this video to 50,000 likes, I know that's a lot, then I'll drill holes into the bottom of my Switch to try to get it into the Switch 2 dock. I dare you, good luck. False. A Switch 1 can't dock on a Switch 2 dock. Will I lose connection to the controllers if I'm behind a wall? So I took off my Joy-Con, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go outside this wall. Just ignore Santa Freddy. I don't know what he's doing there. This is gonna be a very easy rumor to test. Here I go. So I'm behind the wall now. Let's have a look at the Switch. This is one of the dumbest rumors I've ever tested in my life. So true, it does stay connected behind a wall. Next up, can a Switch 2 be charged with a Switch 1 charger? I've heard some people say that you can't use the Switch 1 power supply to power the Switch 2 dock, but I gotta know, does it at least work with the handheld charger? Let's find out. I'm not gonna lie, that one was kind of obvious to me. I don't know how you people are coming up with these rumors. So true, you can charge your Switch 2 with a Switch 1 charger. Can you dock a Nintendo Switch 2 with a USB-C hub? I'm very curious to find out if this works. Now, if you look at my Steam Deck, if you plug in the USB-C from the top and you connect an HDMI to this, you can actually play your Steam Deck on this TV. It's actually very handy, and the Steam Deck is very good with allowing you to dock it with any USB-C hub or just a USB-C to HDMI cable. It's pretty seamless. Unfortunately, for today's experiment, I forgot to charge my Steam Deck. I'm sorry, I should have known better. Regardless, we gotta see if it works on the Nintendo Switch 2. My hopes aren't high with this one, but I have to find out. I've been plugging so many things into my Switch 2 today, you could call me Doug Bowser. Here we go. I don't think this is gonna work. Can you subscribe in the next 3 seconds? Go. True, you can. It's not too late. Subscribe, please. Can you use external storage on your Nintendo Switch 2? Let's find out. If you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, you probably know that you can just grab an SSD and plug it into your console, and it just shows as an extra drive that you can store games on and play games off of. And that's very handy. Just set it and forget it. But can you do that on the Nintendo Switch 2? That currently, if you want some extra space, you gotta spend some extra money and get a micro SD express card. But what if I don't wanna buy an SD card? Well, let's see if you can use an external SSD. I got my Samsung T7 here. It's a USB-C, you can just plug it in. Let's do it. Plugging it in from the top. And we can see on the drive that it is on. It is being powered. But let's go into the settings and go to data management. Yeah, I mean, technically it's on, but I don't think it's actually doing anything. So I guess this is false. You can't use an external drive on your Nintendo Switch 2. Is the eShop actually faster on the Switch 2? If you've ever been on the Switch 1 eShop, you might know that it's horrifically slow. It would literally take you minutes to just scroll through it, find anything you want. It just wasn't a good system. So did they fix it on the Switch 2? Theoretically, you'd think so because, you know, the Switch 2 is faster, but we gotta find out. Let's look. Here we go. We have both consoles side by side, and I'm gonna click the eShop at the same time. So already instantly, the eShop loaded much faster on the Switch 2, but how's scrolling it? Because scrolling it was actually the worst part. Let's go to great deals. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna hold down the analog stick and see how slow or fast it is. Here we go. Oh my goodness. This is just crazy how much faster the Switch 2 is than the Switch 1. Yeah, look, on the Switch 1, it's barely even loading in. In fact, the thumbnails for these games aren't even loading in fully. Look how fast this is. This is crazy. I got all the way down to the bottom of the list. That has never happened before. That answers my question, and doing a side-by-side comparison really proves it. This Switch 2 eShop is much faster. True. Will Game Chat take out a blender? We're in a little bit of a different setting, but that's because my Nintendo Switch is currently recording the audio in a different room. I'm using this Nintendo Switch as the mic right now that we're going to test for this next rumor. Back when they first showed off Game Chat as a Nintendo Switch 2 feature, they said that their mic and software was so good that it was able to take out a blender from your voice. So we're going to test that. We have a mic right here. Now I'm already pretty impressed with this mic. If you get close to it, it sounds actually pretty good. And even if I'm on the other side of the room, no matter how loud I talk, it still picks me up pretty good. Anyways, I'm impressed with this mic. It doesn't sound perfect, but it sounds pretty decent. But we have to test it out with the blender. If a blender is going, will you still be able to hear me? Let's test this out. All right, we got our blender. I have not used this blender in a long time. Let's test it out. Let's put it up just to max. So that's pretty loud. Now I'm gonna talk while the blender's going, and we'll see if Game Chat can pick it up. Here we go. Here's Game Chat audio turning on now. Hello from the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, let's blend this boy. Here we go. I'll talk loud first. Hello! Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Did you know what I was saying? All right, now I'm going to talk at a regular sound. And remember, the Switch is just right there. It's not even that far away from me. So let's try again. Just normal volume. The other day. Now we're gonna go to the extreme level. We're gonna actually put something in there. We got ice. All right, everyone, good luck. Let's hope this blender even survives. Here we go. And that was the blender test. False. You can't really hear me through the blender, at least not what I'm saying. It works, but it's not good. That was insane. Let me know if you've heard any rumors, and maybe I'll test them next time. Consider becoming a channel member like all these names. Wow, they're so cool. And you might as well like and subscribe while you're at it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.